Hello, everyone. It's me, Jenna Ryan with Self Love You. And today I want to answer a viewer question. We had a viewer in my Facebook group ask the question, how do I move on with my past? Let's see what she wanted to know. She says, I need some advice. I need to forgive myself and let go of the past so that I can move forward and have a better future. So she has done a great thing. She has recognized what it is that she needs to do. That is step one, is to know that you need to do that. There's a lot of people who don't even know that they need to let go of their past and forgive themselves. So kudos to you for knowing that you do need to forgive yourself and let go of your past. One of the things that's important about this question, this is actually a very complex question. It sounds like it just needs a real easy platitude answer, step one, step two, step three. But really the question is quite complex. How do I forgive myself and let go of the past so that I can move forward for a better future? Well, that tells me right there that you are stuck in unforgiveness of yourself, which means that you're stuck in toxic shame, which means that you're stuck in shame that's not yours, which means you're mad at yourself for things that you have not done, and you're mad at yourself for things that other people have done to you, and therefore you will never be able to forgive yourself because you haven't done anything. You're actually innocent of anything that you believe that you've done wrong. Anything that has been done wrong has been done to you, and you've accepted the blame for it. And so I guess the question really should be, how do I put the blame where the blame belongs? Because that's really the problem here, isn't it? The problem is not that you need to forgive yourself, because how can you do anything in the past? Okay, unless we're talking about since you've become an adult, let's say you've done some things that were lacking in character. Okay, let's say that since you become an adult, maybe you have murdered someone, or you have stolen something, or you have lied, or you've done some things that were, you've been addicted to things, or maybe you abandon your children or something like that. In that case, how do you forgive yourself? Well, no matter what, if you are in that situation, generally speaking, it started somewhere. It started somewhere not being your fault. And then it became your fault on down the road, and so now it's time to take responsibility for it. But what I have a feeling is that you are probably saying, forgive yourself for, what happened long ago, or forgive yourself for being unworthy, or forgive yourself for being such a gross person, or forgive yourself for feeling so crappy, or forgive yourself for being so depressed, or just that basic overall overlay of the false self of being less than. That's what I assume that you're talking about. And that's really what I want to address right now, is how to forgive yourself. Well, first of all, you need to place the blame where the blame is due. If you are feeling less than, if you're feeling not good enough, chances are you were raised in that way by people outside of yourself. And so the first thing you need to do is put the blame where the blame belongs. That's going to take the help of a counselor. You really probably cannot do that all on your own, because you need an objective mirror, an objective person that can come in and say, and mirror you and support you and affirm you and kind of be an external construct to help you to see yourself in the correct and proper light. It's kind of like a crutches. If you break your leg, you need crutches to be able to walk. Okay? So that's the way you forgive yourself, is you have to go back to that past. If you want to forgive yourself of the past, you've got to go back to the deepest past you can and begin to repair those areas of yourself using a third party, which is another person, which is, a counselor, a therapist, a pastor, somebody who can help you through this, a priest, someone who can be a loving, compassionate, empathetic, unconditional loving person to you and help you to see the truth that it is not your fault. Whatever you're taking the blame for is not your fault. And then it's simply, once you really discover it's not your fault, and you begin to put the shame where the shame belongs, which is off of you. Because a lot of times, those of us who grew up feeling less than, who grew up being ostracized or put beneath others or treated badly or feeling like we weren't worth anything. That's how I used to feel, and that's how I grew up. Those of us who have been that way, it was caused a long time ago in childhood, and it's not our fault. And so we still may feel like it's our fault, but it never was, and it still isn't. And you can grow beyond that and move past it. Okay, you can get beyond that feeling. And the way to get beyond that feeling is to really work on yourself and be really diligent about tending to your own pain. Instead of drinking, instead of doing addictive behavior, instead of allowing yourself to be abused in a toxic relationship, instead of doing all of those things, if you will go out and begin to get into groups and support groups that will be helpful to you, find a therapist that can help you out of this pit, read books that can help you understand more about childhood development and why you feel so poorly about yourself that you need to forgive yourself for being alive. You can go to, you can journal. You can journal every single day, all your feelings. You can make sure that really supportive people are in your presence. You can do things each day, each and every day. You set a goal of here's who I want to be and how I want to feel in the future. And then every day do something towards that goal. And eventually you will reach the goal and you will become the person that you want to be. And you will be able to let go of your past. Now, if your question is, how do I forgive myself for something I've done? Like I was talking about earlier. Let's say you murdered someone. Let's say you made a mistake. Well, first of all, that would, if you really made a true mistake, then that would bring rise to healthy shame. You would feel shame and you may feel guilt. Those two feelings are feelings that humans have. And that shows that you are fallible, that you are not perfect, that you are not God, that you are that you can show humility, that you can make mistakes, that you did make a mistake. And whatever this mistake that you made, if it was truly a mistake you made as an adult, that was a character flaw, a character-related mistake, such as, you allowed something to happen that you were responsible for and you messed up and allowed it to happen knowingly in your mind that it's happening, then you can forgive yourself by understanding that you are human, And now that you know better, you can do better. But you couldn't do better before you knew better. But now that you know better, you can make amends for the things that you have done. It's kind of like the 12-step programs where you do a searching moral inventory of yourself. My situation is people doing moral inventories of themselves who actually come from a place of self-hatred and self-loathing and non-self-love. If you take someone who's truly codependent and who truly has no self-esteem, and then you tell them to do a searching and moral inventory of themselves, I hate to tell you, but they've been doing that their whole lives. That's what people who have trouble with loving themselves do. They're constantly tearing themselves open and constantly finding flaws with everything they see within themselves because they don't have the proper perspective on themselves, because they weren't properly mirrored as children as a lovable and beautiful being. And so the ultimate goal is to learn to see yourself as God sees you, to learn to see yourself as your higher self is within you, to really get connected with who you really are. And you can do this through journaling, reading good books, learning things, knowledge, meditation, listening to YouTube videos. You can start to learn who you really are, and you will learn that you don't need to be forgiven for being alive. It's okay. And if you've made mistakes, then you can just brush it off and say, you know what? You can feel empathy and remorse and for what you've done, but there comes a time when you just have to stop and you have to have an internal boundary. This internal boundary is within, and this internal boundary needs to be strong within. But you can't have it unless you build up all the foundation of all the things that we talk about on my channel as well as in my blog. You've really got to know who you are, and then you've got to be able to set internal boundaries that say, that's not mine, I'm not going there, I'm not responsible for that. I already said I was sorry. I'm human. And also self-talk, how you're talking to yourself. So I spoke with a gentleman one time who actually had run over his daughter. She was like 4 years old, and he ran over his daughter, and she lived by the grace of God. And he goes to church every Sunday now, and he was still in his 40s. He was torn up with guilt, shame every single day, and he could not get over this problem. And it wasn't my place to help him or heal him, but I can say if that's the kind of forgiveness that you feel you need to give to yourself, you've got to rise above it, and it will take connection with a higher power, because things like that can cause a lot of triggers from childhood that, whenever maybe your parents may have passed some things on to you that didn't belong to you. Maybe some toxic shame was brought in. But, if the child lives and, even if the child dies on accident, you are human. You're not God, and we are perfectly imperfect, and nobody is perfect, and nobody is perfect at all times. And to think that you can be perfect is actually pride. That's to try to take the place of God. You can never take the place of God. You are not God. You are human. You're made of flesh and blood. You are fallible. You do need to humble yourself and be thankful and grateful for every moment that you live, and forgive yourself for your mistakes, and be able to have internal boundaries that will stand against anything that comes and tries to identify you. Because that's really what happens, is people become identified by the negative things that happen to them in their past. Let's say that someone, was a prostitute as a child, or was in sex trafficked as a child, and had no idea of what happened to them, or even they did it into adulthood or whatever. Let's say that they are identified. You can become identified as that. But as you grow and as you heal, you learn that your identity is found inside, that there is nothing external that you can do or that can come upon you, nothing you can do that takes away from your worth and your value. Even if you've done the most horrible things in the world, nothing takes away your worth and value. Now, if you are someone who is character disordered and you maliciously and intentionally hurt people, okay, it is the person who is being hurt, it's a moral dilemma. Yes, I feel sorry for a narcissist or a psychopath. I feel sorry for them, but I feel sorry for them in the safe spot of being in no contact. I don't put myself into contact with people who are characterologically disordered. I protect myself from such people. If you have done something that's, poor character, then, you need to make an amends. But I think this question is probably geared more towards someone who just really feels not worthy and feels like they need to forgive themselves for being not worthy. And I would say that the way to move on from this and get past this and move on to your beautiful past, your beautiful future, is to get a vision for your future, and then to realize what really happened in the past and realize who you really are through hard work, through counseling, through reading books, through awareness, through mindfulness, through all of the tools of healing, through becoming more conscious of who you are, by understanding your chakras, understanding your body, understanding all types of religions. You may need to read verses in the Bible. You may need to find out about God of the Bible. You may need to find out about the Buddha. You may need to find out about New Age. You may need to find out about astronomy. Your route is your route, but you have to take a step in your route, because your truth is out there, and it will make itself known to you. And it is my prayer for you that you will find the truth that you're looking for, and that you will know who you really are, and that you will know you don't have to forgive yourself, because you're already forgiven, because you're perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. Until next time, this is Jenna Ryan. Talk to you soon.